Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie, and I am an adult indigo. And I have a show today about psychic children. And the reason that this is important to me is because A, I was one of them, and B, a lot of kids, a lot of people out there are wondering if their child has amazing abilities that are um, maybe more than the average kid. So I kind of wanted to help you to find out if your child or grandchild may be having the traits. I've even got a few tests that will also be fun things. And remember, when you're working with your kid, and I don't care how psychic you think your child is, tests are not to be seen as the be all end all, because as all of us know that went to school and took GED tests or whatever those tests were, um, not all of us do well in them. And especially in my time when I was an indigo child, uh, I remember that I went to class, but I was always feeling and reading the intensity of the kids around me. And when I was watching the teacher speak, I wasn't hearing what she was saying about the things I was supposed to be absorbing. I was instead seeing her brushing her hair with a sad look on her face. You know, all these things that a lot of psychic kids feel. When How does a psychic child go to school, be in any kind of situation, and not totally absorb and feel the energy around them? So it's no surprise that many psychic children actually do not do very well in school and are seen as distracted. Another thing that you may notice about your psychic child is that they pick up your energy. When you come in the door, it's as if they suddenly act out and begin to duplicate your bad day, the last thing you needed. All children do this, though, of course. All children pick up our energy. But if you have a psychic child, the chances are that they're picking up your eyes, and all of the things of your energy and your vibration are probably compounded by the fact that they're reading you every minute. And you will know just the minute you look into their eyes and the way that they're acting. Throughout the world, it is largely believed that many of us are born with psychic ability. All of us. But this being said, it should come as no surprise if your child has the uncanny ability to predict exactly when the school bus will arrive, or suddenly become fearful of crossing the street just moments before an unseen car barrels down the road. Despite the fact psychic ability can vary very, very much from person to person, child to child. And one person may be very in tune with their abilities, while another may have next to no skill And have you ever noticed on some of these ghost shows, which we're coming into autumn and Halloween, and there's going to be a lot of those on? Um, why is it that one person can have visits and feel and see things in houses, and the next person can walk into a totally haunted house of cesspool energy, not even feel a thing? Well, probably because maybe they're a little more focused in another dimension than that person or child that is more psychic. It doesn't make them better. It doesn't make them worse. The child that is less psychic is just as beautiful and just as good as the psychic child. But discovering whether or not your child is psychic is not generally as simple as asking him or her whether or not he can see into the future or see spirits. Luckily, there are many personality traits that are often shared amongst psychic kids. That's right. For instance, additionally, there are a few tests that can be utilized. And some of these tests are very interesting. A lot of them are about, maybe you've seen them on the market. A lot of the cards are placed um, with pictures, and then the pictures are turned upside down. And you ask your child, what's underneath? Shuffle them up real good, and then ask your child to tell you what is underneath a card, what on the picture that is underneath that card that's upside down. A lot of times, a really psychic child just knows. To go hand in hand with the sensitivity that psychic kids have, there's also a strong sense of empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is compassion, that ability to go up to an animal, that ability to go up to somebody that's sick or that's hurt and just seem to tune into them and hold their hand, or seem to just want to talk to them or make them feel better. In addition to being sensitive to the moods of others, children with psychic abilities are often sensitive to the personalities of those others around you. For example, say you're otherwise friendly and sociable little darling suddenly clams up when a nice woman sitting next to you in the bus is trying to talk to them. This small change in your child's demeanor can mean a few things. However, unless there is some obvious reason to fear this person, your kid may have simply been feeling or an unusual vibe from that person. These vibrations may also extend to crowds and places that you are with your child, and they may become very suddenly frightened or extremely happy in a location that you personally feel nothing from. Well, I have a little story about my little psychic Scorpio granddaughter. I went to a fairy festival. And the fairy festival had, I have to laugh because I often notice that in this fairy festival, you have people on stilts dressed like Pan, and the legs of the stilts are covered with furry legs so that you can't see them. But there's these monstrous fairies and pans and centaurs walking around. And often they will have in these fairy festivals older hippie people like me, but I have noticed that the older that the hippies get, the older that the fairies get, the larger their wings get, until you have these rather sedentary, older looking fairies with these humongous wings they can barely carry. They're beautiful, but it seems to be the protocol for fairy festivals that the older the person, the larger the wings. Anyway, I get away from the subject. My granddaughter and I went to see the band. Well, she was absorbing what I was absorbing, but it was belly dancers, it was music from Germany, from a pagan band, and it was just incredibly exhilarating, and people dancing and laughing and having a wonderful time. And I saw this horrified look on my granddaughter, who was probably about Mm, maybe 12, 13, and she began to cry hysterically. And I felt so terrible. But then I started to look around me, and sure enough, in the crowd were some people on bad acid who my beautiful little granddaughter, nothing they had done, but she had completely picked up the energy of this bad acid from these people. So I quickly took her away from the incident, and we were far, far away from that. But it was just an example of how our psychic children can pick up so well the sometimes crazy, sometimes happy, and sometimes very confusing energy of people. A lot of psychic kids are extremely fond of animals and may, in some subtle way, be able to communicate with them. Additionally, they frequently have imaginary friends. And in many cases, these invisible people that these psychic kids talk to, and all children, remember, all children have imaginary friends. But you may notice that some of these kids that are a little more psychic have these very detailed conversations with these invisible people. Are they a product of their imagination? Well, maybe, but many times they've been exposed to a current life that lived in that house or that lived in that place that they were visiting. A lot of times they pick up historical energy of a land in a piece of a yard. They may suddenly become quite unnerved and anxious when they're standing in one place in a yard and not want to go there. Though a combination of personality traits may be indicative of gifts, no single attribute can definitely tell you whether or not your child has psychic abilities. But after watching your child's behavior, you are still uncertain. There are these tests that have been created to help make your child's potential a little clearer. Check them out on the internet. Just type in tests for psychic children. Most in-person and computer-based tests consist of a deck of cards, as I described to you before, or simple images that depict shapes or animals, colors, or numbers. In that test, there's a sense of questions about psychic and other supernatural natural experiences that are asked. And also, I want to discuss reincarnation. There's been a lot of shows on TV lately about children, very small children, that are suddenly relating these complicated historical facts that there would be no way they would know about. And yet, they can go into great detail about how they died, which would be something no child would want to talk about or even conceive in most cases. The most compelling reincarnation cases are those in which small children spontaneously remember past lives that can be factually verified. Ian Stevenson, MD of the University of Virginia, compiled over 1,200 of these objectively validated cases, which in aggregate provide proof of reincarnation. His academic research is presented on the um, ISIS website for children's past life stories. Typically, in these cases, the child starts talking about something that has happened to them in, let's say, a very factual way. Um, they know who their parents were in that life. They may know about how the language they spoke. They may even speak a language that is totally unrelated to English. These memories can include their name in the past lifetime, as well as the names of their parents, family members from the prior incarnation. And the child may also recall the name of the city they lived in or the town they lived in. And when the child provides detailed enough information, the parents or involved researchers are able to locate the past life family that these kids are talking about and introduce oftentimes the child to this family. Often the child will be able to identify these past life family members by name and the individuals that the child has never met in the contemporary lifetime. The child can know information or secrets about their past lifetime that only members of the past life family are aware of. And since they bring these children to these families that they are giving names and locations of course, they would know what these secrets are. I can imagine it probably pretty much shocks them. Based on the child's past life memories, the past life family will often accept the child as the reincarnation of their deceased loved one or just think it's really weird. Two key independently researched reincarnation cases of this kind, which also physically resemble from one lifetime to another, are provided below. And you may want to go to the blog that I have posted today and check out some of these documented stories of reincarnation and kids. I think you'll find it's very interesting, and I would love to have your opinion about any case of a psychic child that may be in your life. I do want to tell you that you can come into the show today by phone. And I want to say thank you to Anne from California for being with us today. And the number you would call is 602 666 6027. You can also go to Studio A at Achieve Radio and listen to Anne. How are you today? Hello, Anne. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you for waiting.
I'm
I don't
here.
know. And thank you for
Yeah.
staying with me. I went into airplane mode for some reason. Okay, I
Oh.
must be flying, huh? That energy of yours is just flying. You put me in airplane mode,
Yeah.
girl. What can I do for you?
Anne Marie, I have a question. There's a gentleman that I've known for some time, we had a romantic relationship before. I don't know if you see a future for us or he broke up with me. I just don't know. There was very little communication.
Let's look
His
at
name,
his
do you know his
energy.
name?
Yes,
Sure.
please. His name
His name is
is
Bob. Bob,
Bob?
B-O-B.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about Bob, huh? And if we look at, first of all, his energy and how he feels for you, and what comes through says, at this particular time, it shows that, well, first of all, it says that he's been feeling invisible for quite a while. I'm not sure why that is, but I think he's chosen to kind of lay low for, I would say, a good long time. And he's not the best communicator, his reading says. But you kind of woke something up in him. You kind of made him aware that he has to be more accommodating to real life, and he needs to be more accommodating to you and himself. The problem is that you awoke a lot of tension and insecurities in him that had quietly been dormant in a nice safe rut, and that during that time that he was in that nice safe rut with not letting anybody emotionally get to him, it was a nice little place to be, and he was very stimulated by you. But oh my god, suddenly you made him look at himself and his stagnation, and it kind of scared him. So if I look at, how does Bob feel about you? And I want to say hello to Karen from New York, and I will get to you next. So, looking at what about Bob and looking at how he feels about you, and your reading says that he saw you as a true winner, as almost somebody that mentored and rescued him. He also sees you as somebody he's incredibly attracted to. He believes that there is a spiritual connection between you both, and that in the past he kind of got into this safe little world of commitment to his job and to the material things, but for whatever reason, when you came into connection with him, he suddenly found himself less interested in that world. Consequently, this man is going to take an incredible amount of patience. This is because he's been secure in his little rut for so long that it's like breaking out of a prison for him. And though he saw you as beautiful, there is that feeling that to suddenly change his comfortable rut is going to take a whole lot of invested energy. And again, that scares him. Your reading says that there is still a sense that he is thinking about you, that he would like to reconnect with you, but it does show that he is scared. If I look at what are Bob's intentions for you at this time, and your reading says that Bob's intentions for you, Anne, are to see you as the light at the end of the tunnel, to see you as incredibly strong and someone that he could rely on, and that, wow, the world wouldn't be so darn hard to deal with or so alone if he had you in it. But it also is a scary place right now. So, how long are we talking about Bob coming back into the picture? And if we look at that, Anne, your reading says that it may be, and I'm looking at, um, yeah, I'm going to say that I wish I could give you a fast amount of time, but unfortunately, I'm not a fairy godmom and I don't sugarcoat. I'm feeling it could be almost the end of autumn or the beginning of winter before Bob actually resurfaces with bravery and the desire to try to see where this can go. It isn't that he's not thinking about you, but he's just been comfortable in his little rut, and you made him open his eyes, and it kind of was a shock. So let him think about you. And if I look at what is your best course of action at this time, Anne, while you're waiting for Bob, and it says your best course of action at this time to do nothing. If you try to get close to him at this time, chances are that he will block. So I would just do everything you can not to get close to him right now. Let him have his processing. Let him have his time alone. And I believe he will see him again, but you're going to have to be patient or not. You don't have to be patient. You can move on, but that's the way I see it.
So you're saying possibly in December he may reconnect with me if he ever
No,
will.
early winter, it said, or late autumn. So
Like
that would
November.
mean October, November. Yeah,
Mm.
December is pretty close, but I think that there is a sense that, you shook him up, girl. You shook him up, just like you shook up my computer. No, I'm just kidding, Anne. You must be a very
Okay.
intense woman. So what I feel is that he is not going to do anything quickly. It isn't that he didn't feel an intense spiritual connection, because he did. But whether he did or not, the problem is he's not going to do anything fast. And that means if you should go out, never put your life on hold for anybody unless they've proven to you that they are worth it. And I'm not saying that he's not worth it, but until he gives you action and a real something to go on. Sometimes, if someone's having a what I call a telepathic connection with you, sometimes it can. I believe that we can have telepathic connections with people that are so intense that we can feel their energy. And it seems to happen when there's a past life connection or just an intense vibrational spiritual connection. And I think you may have that. And sometimes the best way to get somebody off their duff is to just move on with your life and go out with others. And you may, for whatever reason, he may feel that portal go and close and scare him enough to come back a little sooner. And that's what I see, Anne. Yep.
And Marie, do you think that he is involved with someone?
Um, if I look at that, is he involved with someone else at this time? And looking at that, it says, I won't lie, I believe there is somebody else around him. It shows that this person is somebody that he does have feelings for. But it also
Yeah.
says that it may be something that has been ending and that the feelings are more on his side than their side. And the sense is that I'm shown 4 to 5 months of feeling that this person seems to be either moved on or the door has finally closed and he's no longer willing to put himself on hold for them. So my feeling is that yes, there is somebody that means a lot to him. And my feeling is that he carries this like a medal or like some kind of trophy at this time. Not to say he doesn't have an attraction for you, not to say he isn't connected with you, but he does have feelings for someone else. And your reading says this safety net that he has put himself in, almost bearing somebody else's memory or bearing somebody else's hope that it will turn into more, has kind of gone passe. And yet he seems to be a sentimental guy, and he seems to, for whatever reason, be holding that memory pretty high. So that again may be why it's going to take a while, and why
I
again
guess so.
you should not put
I
yourself on
agree
hold
with
for.
this. Yeah, I agree with this. He's just that kind of guy that he wouldn't be sitting alone, believe me. So it's probably someone else that prevented him from seeing me or talking to me. But that's
I believe
okay.
whether it is somebody that's in his life or a memory, I believe that
Mm-hmm.
that there is a sense of he has feelings for somebody. Yes. But
Okay.
I feel that
Mm-hmm.
again around October, November, you'll see him again. Okay?
And this other person will be not present anymore, or he will be with that person and with me, and will want to see me. That's what I really don't
you,
want.
you'll be having a hot affair or cheating. No, I'm not saying that. If I look at will he be still involved with this other person, and it says um, no. My feeling is that again, it seems as if he still communicates with somebody. Here's what I see. I see this man has feelings for somebody that is in another relationship. I see that this man has feelings for a woman that hurt him, that moved on, got married, or did something that was totally unexpected and hurt him badly. My sense is that in his life, he's put himself on hold, or he can't seem to move on from that situation of pain. My feeling is that he is needing to get off his duff, and he needs to move on and realize that situation, even if that person is still talking to him, is leading him on or giving or using him in some way. And it is my feeling that he's stronger than this, and he needs to have somebody that's real flesh and blood that isn't already taken. And that's what I see.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anne Marie. I really appreciate this reading.
Thank you, Anne.
And
Take
thank you.
care. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
God bless you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bless you. Bye. All right. We have Karen. And Karen is from New York. And she says, hope all is well with you. There is a young man that I've gotten to know, and we talk often. What is his intentions towards me? I'm sensing something more, and I'm moving away from him. Well, Karen, usually I prefer to have people give me first names. But since you have not done that, I will try to go on what you have given me. So, the young man that you are feel that you have gotten to know, looking at his feelings for you, Karen. And if I look at that, this is what comes through. At this particular time, this man that you are talking to, he is seen as thinking about you, but I also show him as a dreamer. He is somebody that is either a visionary, somebody that may be creative, or a chronic daydreamer. There is a feeling also that he is a bit of a lone wolf, and that oftentimes he's hard to get to know because of the fact that he likes being an enigma. He likes having a long leash in which he's not trapped into having to settle. I'm shown at this particular time that this man is not in a committed relationship. And Karen, I've also shown that this man likes to be in charge. he likes to be the one that has the upper hand. I'm shown that this man is somebody that has not always been fair in relationships because he does give the illusion of wanting to get to know you or other women in his past. And yet it shows that he has a way of, like I say, being the lone wolf, going his own way, giving out so much to go on that captivates interest, but then never completely follows through. I'm shown that he is somebody that is an excellent communicator. I'm shown that he will continue to be communicating with you, but be very in tune to how much his boundaries are. If you notice that this man only seems to give you this much to go on, but never totally asks you out or seems to follow through with a plan, or please understand that you may be falling into this visionary, enigma, lone wolf, complex man's pattern. It is shown that his worst fear is hurting anybody, so I think he's a great guy. But I also show, again, that he likes to be the one in charge and he likes the upper hand. I'm shown that also he seems to like married women or women that are in relationships, because he can then be somebody that does what he does without being expected or having to follow through. And lastly, what I'm shown is that he is a sensitive, sweet guy. He is also, like I said, a complex, visionary lone wolf that likes a long leash, and appreciates a woman in a good relationship or that is married, that he can seem to get close to, but never have to fully step up to the plate. I would say, Karen, be very aware that this is a man that would make a better friend than to fall in love with, because you may find that you're always in like delayed orgasm with a man like this, more the visionary or the dreaming or the expectation, always on the edge, always on the verge, but never quite following through. On one hand, it may be intriguing and exciting. On the other hand, if you are waiting for this man to ask you out, I feel it may not happen. And that's what I see. All right, Jan says from LA, may I please have a personal reading? Sure, Jan, and thank you for coming by. I do want to say next week we will have Eric Linter, national astrologer. I had mistakenly thought he was on this week, but Eric reminded me that the promotion says next week. So Eric is a national astrologer, very, very good, has read for the stars, has been in many romance magazines. And if you would like to have your astrology reading and a tarot reading next week, drop by next week for his show. He will need your birth date and your place, and the time that you were born. Okay, just wanted to give that plug for next week's show. Jan, I'm looking at what comes up around you and looking at Jan from LA. Jan, this is what comes up in your reading. Watch out for feeling a little off. We are entering into a retrograde, And sometimes it's kind of like Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong during retrograde. So your reading says, be aware that this is not a time, Jan, to accomplish big things. Your reading says that if you have a daughter or you have a best friend that needs you this month, maybe rather than running from this person, because I'm shown that for whatever reason, the expectations that this person has of you, if it's a daughter, maybe wanting you to do too much for them, if it's a friend, perhaps wanting you to listen to them all the time, or if it's someone at work that you just feel a little intimidated by, the feeling is that in the future, you're going to have to watch out, either A, that this person doesn't hang on your heels like Velcro, or that this person does not cause you to feel like you are not comfortable at home or work. Your reading shows that the next month of retrograde, don't be alarmed if you can't understand these feelings of intimidation or insecurity you may be having around people you love. It's not necessarily anything to do with them, and it may have everything to do with just old issues resurfacing in your mind. Jan, your reading says the last thing that you want. So that was the extent of Jan's retrograde reading, indicating that Jan needs to watch out not to do anything that could cause her to have insecurity, not to invest in perhaps people that are pressuring her these days. The sense is that you are better off in this retrograde episode coming up, not allowing yourself to worry about these funny feelings you're having. And it's certainly not a good time to start something new that you could maybe actually self sabotage because of your insecurities. And that's what I see. Hey, Sandy, how are you today? Sandy, are you there?
Yes. Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. What can
Oh,
I do for you
hi.
today?
Oh,
What can
I'm
I?
so happy you got on. I don't know if you can help me or not. I got sick in December with what everybody was getting, and for the first time in 7 years, I had to take medicine. And a week later, on January 6th, I went to stand up. And I couldn't. I mean, I almost fell down. The pain was unbelievable. I've been going through unbelievable pain since then. It has been 8 months. I'm finally starting to get out of it. And that was because I found Dr. Carolyn Dean. She was the only one that helped me with her stuff. I did go to the best rheumatologist. They did all kinds of tests. They think it was my body's reaction to getting sick and the stress and the medicine. But I have been dealing with pain for 34 years. So that's what I wanted to ask. Nobody's giving. I don't know what happened to me, and I don't know why. And I am saying that I will be healed. I am healing, and I pray a lot. Can you help me?
Well, Sandy, I'm not a medical reader, but
Oh,
I can tell you what I see going on spiritually around you,
yes.
which can
That
have a
was.
lot to do with what's going on, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
so if I look at, yeah, so I'm not going to throw out any quick fixes or cures because that'd be
Oh,
the
no, I
biggest
didn't
lie.
think you would.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you somehow.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to me. I totally don't know. I just don't know what happened.
Okay, let's look at that, okay? And I'll just look at what comes through. And it says first and foremost, um, one of the things that comes through is that you are a person that absorbs the energy in your environment
Yes, I do. I
intensely.
tend to absorb other people's energy and the environment. Yes, you're right.
And your reading said that during that time, there was a leaving. And I'm not sure what that means, whether there, I think sometimes in houses and in a environmental uh, security area, there can be like holograms of energy that comes and goes, triggered by an occasion, a time, something that happened during a stress or something like that. My feeling is that you were experiencing a leaving. And I'm not sure that why, but it says this energy that you had absorbed had become such a part of who and what you were during, it's almost like you were giving it a safe haven. But it's
Okay.
and I want to say sometimes I do believe also that spirit that leaves can also be like angels that are changing post. Because when we change chapters in our life, which usually happens every 10 years or so, it's almost like the energy that we required, the angels that we require, the spirit that we require to help us through one chapter of our life changes post for another to come in. And it could very well be that you were going into a new state of being, a new consciousness, a new chapter in your life. And so as this energy angel, this spiritual essence was leaving. It's almost like the rug got pulled out from under you. And your reading says that that you had felt this energy, picked it up, perhaps either from your environment, or it was something that you had within you that was just changing posts in a new chapter of your life. Here's the thing. For every closed door, a new door opens. We all hear that. We all know that. So actually, by this energy leaving, though it may have felt like the rug was being pulled out from under you, it was the best thing that could have happened. The introduction of medicine, the introduction of cures to try to always be there to eliminate pain or eliminate a stress within us is something that we humans often do. But as most massage therapists or most energy people will tell you, body memory is very intense, and it can be memories or it can be things that are felt in different parts of our body. So what your reading says is, as you were entering into a new evolution, a new change in your body and in your consciousness, the old energy, the old angels departed, and a new energy came within you that was relevant to the new chapter, the new open door that's in your life. Now, interestingly, when I look at what was behind you, I'm shown, and for whatever reason, please do not think less of me for saying this, an asshole. And I'm shown that there was an uncaring, a not very sweet, a very detached, a person that may have left, or a person that in the past. And there is a sense that as this person's energy left completely, 100%, it also opened a new door as that energy vacated your spiritual plane. So here we are again, the leaving. Your reading says that as all that was going on, what you were doing was letting go of useless, dysfunctional, passé or person in your or spirit within you, and that as they moved on from your energy, from your being, it felt like the floor was being pulled out from under you. It felt as if your body went into complete meltdown. You may have experienced the pain. You may have experienced a disappearing. You may have experienced as if you lost yourself. And there is a feeling that it was actually the best thing that could have happened, because it allowed now for there to be an open door for you to step into the future.
That's amazing. I kept telling everyone I don't feel like myself anymore. And I had to, I let go of so much stuff over the past 8 months. When you have that much pain for 24 hours a day and all you can do is take some Advil, it gets kind of hard to keep your spirits up. And yet I did it. I didn't go for Lyrica or anything. And I could see that my mother was a big negative influence at times. She was a very tortured soul, shall we say. And she died like 7 years ago. Maybe it was her energy, and I am living in the house that I was abused in.
Well, I have to go, Sandy. I have to go. The show is ending. But welcome to the new chapter of your life.
Thank you. You actually did